Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a mission really, to uncover a pretty profound idea.
Hmm.
What if, amidst all the rapid swirling changes, we see new tech, shifting economies, evolving social norms, what if there are fundamental truths that just never change?
Yeah, the little laws of life, as our sources call them, that's what we're digging into.
Exactly. This deep dive is all about pulling out those crucial insights, stuff that helps you navigate your own life, maybe understand the wider world a bit better.
Right. Kind of a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed without getting totally overwhelmed by, the daily flood of information.
The core idea, the premise, it's actually quite simple,
Hmm.
but powerful.
Which is,
That while technology and, say, geopolitics might look completely unrecognizable across centuries, human nature itself, remarkably constant.
okay.
So we'll explore why people get persuaded by things like greed, fear, jealousy, maybe overconfidence, short-sightedness, all in ways that feel totally familiar
And
today.
we'll probably feel familiar hundreds of years from now, too.
Precisely. Imagine for a second if you could travel, say, 500 years back or even 500 years forward.
Okay.
You'd be blown away by the tech, right? Confused by the language, probably.
Yeah.
But I bet you'd quickly notice something, well, eerily familiar about how people behave.
And that's what becomes so clear when you look across history, this recurring pattern. Philosophers have been pointing this out for centuries.
Like who?
Well, you've got Carl Jung saying, "Our life is indeed the same as it ever was." Arthur Schopenhauer put it nicely, too.
How did he phrase it?
Something like, "The wise in all ages have always said the same thing, and the fools have, in their way, too, acted alike."
Mm.
And Voltaire, with his usual wit, he observed, "History never repeats itself. Man always does." It's really about spotting these patterns that just transcend time.
And it's not just the big thinkers, right?
Yeah.
Warren Buffett had that simple story.
Oh, the Snickers test.
Yeah, exactly. In 2009, the economy's tanking, and he asks his friend Jim, what was the top-selling candy bar back in 1962?
Snickers.
And today,
Still Snickers. Just a quiet little observation about the things that, well, just don't change much.
yeah,
And that idea connects directly to Naval Ravikant's concept, the 1,000 parallel universes.
right, explain that a bit.
Well, he argues the really important truths, the ones you want to build your life around, are those that would hold true in basically every imaginable version of your life, not just the specific one you happen to be living.
So you want to succeed in, like, 999 out of 1,000 universes. Factor out the luck.
Kind of, yeah. And that's really what this deep dive is aiming for, finding those universal truths to help you make better sense of your life and maybe even the future.
Okay, so let's start with an idea that might sound a bit backwards at first. But our sources suggest it's fundamental,
Dear.
that a key to happiness for a lot of people is actually having low expectations.
That's a big one. Because if you connect that to the bigger picture, you find people often don't really want accuracy. They want certainty. And Montesquieu pointed this out, 275 years ago. He saw that we often wish we were happier than other people.
Which is hard because
We usually believe those other people are happier than they really are. It's this constant comparison game, often unconscious.
and that comparison thing, that relative happiness, it really clicks with what Charlie Munger argued, right?
Yeah, the world is often driven more by envy than actual greed.
Okay, unpack that. Think about the 1950s. Maybe a single earner, modest house, life seems simpler. Contrast that with today. Median wages are higher, houses are often bigger, but people frequently feel less well off. Why?
Our sources point pretty directly at social media.
It's a huge driver, isn't
It
it?
is. Social media constantly throws these curated highlight reels at us,
Right.
Often inflated, faked, airbrushed.
Right.
And it just makes it so much easier to fall into that trap of, I want that. Why don't I have that?
Exactly. You see it with people like Gary Kremen, the Match.com founder.
Yeah.
Worth $10 million. But in Silicon Valley felt like nobody here at $10 million.
Wow.
Or Will Smith talking about how becoming famous was amazing, but being famous, a real mixed bag.
Even Naomi Osaka, winning huge tennis tournaments. She said the wins didn't bring joy, just relief.
So it raises this really important question then. How do we square that desire for progress, for achievement, with this reality of expectations just inflating constantly?
It's tough. It's fascinating that Harry Truman, who people really didn't expect much from initially.
Right, they kind of panned him.
Yeah, but now he's consistently ranked as a top president. partly because those initial expectations were so low. It really shows that managing your expectations, well, that might be more in your control than managing your actual circumstances.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about wild minds.
Ah, yes.
This is the idea that people who think in these unique ways that you really admire, well, they almost certainly also think in unique ways you won't like.
You got to take the whole package.
You really do. It's an interesting trade-off, like Eliud Kipchoge, the marathon runner, best in the world.
Incredible athlete.
After winning an Olympic medal, what does he do? Sits contentedly staring at a wall for hours while everyone else is on their phones. His friends joked, he's not human.
Yeah.
That focus isn't easily separated from, well, being a bit odd.
Right. Or John Boyd, the fighter pilot legend, revolutionized aerial combat.
His insights changed everything, right? OODA loop and all that.
Exactly. Became the official tactics guide. But the man himself, our sources describe him as rude, erratic, disobedient, impatient.
Didn't he, chew calluses and spit them in meetings?
Apparently, his brilliance came tangled up with these really difficult personal traits. The Air Force needed his brain, but found the man hard to handle.
It's like Isaac Newton, maybe the greatest scientific genius ever. Also spent years deep into alchemy and sorcery. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Was that boundless curiosity about the impossible tied into his scientific breakthroughs?
You have to assume it was all connected somehow.
So what's the fundamental truth here for us, for the listener?
It seems to be that the very same traits pushing people to incredible heights can also push them right over the edge.
Right. Think Elon Musk. Visionary ambition, colonizing Mars, nudging reality.
Huge ideas.
But that seems inseparable from his, let's say, controversial communication style and those unrealistic promises like nuking Mars or solving Flink's water crisis in days.
It's a risk-reward trade-off. Comes from the exact same personality trait. You don't get one without the other, often.
Okay, let's move to another big one. Incentives.
Yeah.
The most powerful force in the world.
Yeah, this is crucial. Jason Zweig, the financial columnist, had that really blunt rule for writers.
What was it?
Lie to people who want to be lied to and you'll get rich.
Oof. Brutal, but probably true sometimes.
It points to how incentives are just way more powerful than pure reason. They can lead people to justify almost anything.
We see extreme examples, right? Like that Nigerian scammer, Akinola Bolaji, basically saying poverty numbs you to the pain you cause.
Or Notorious B.I.G., casually talking about selling crack in 4th grade because the money was so much better than, say, art. The incentive was overwhelming. Yeah. And what's often missed is how these incentives blind us to our own faults. Think about that subprime mortgage banker back in 2005. They probably knew, deep down, the whole game was a house of cards. But their job, feeding their family, it all relied on playing along. The incentive to not see the problem, or at least not act on it, was huge.
And it's not just money, is it? El Chapo, hugely popular in poor Mexican villages.
Well, it wasn't just financial. There were deep cultural, tribal incentives at play, too. Loyalty, protection.
And it absolutely shapes what people are willing to believe. The Heaven's Gate cult returning that telescope.
Because it didn't show the spaceship they knew was there. They insisted the telescope is broken.
People believe what they desperately want to be true. Evidence be damned sometimes.
Absolutely. Which is why, in so many service industries, doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, just doing something becomes the default.
Even if doing nothing is the best advice.
Exactly. Because the incentive is often structured around activity, around providing a service, not necessarily the right outcome, especially if the right outcome is wait and see. It plays a massive, often hidden role.
Okay, let's shift now to the unpredictable nature of things. A concept called hanging by a thread.
Okay.
This basically says the world's biggest changes often hinge on these tiny, random, unforeseeable events. And I actually have a personal story here, if that's all right.
Please, yeah.
So, back in 2001, I grew up ski racing near Lake Tahoe.
Why?
One morning, I was skiing the backside of Squaw Valley. I was out of bounds with 2 friends. I actually got caught in a small slide, nothing major.
Right.
Later that morning, my friends wanted to do another run on the same slope. And for absolutely no reason I can pinpoint, I just decided not to go. I just felt like driving around to pick them up afterwards. They never showed up. Turned out they got caught in a huge avalanche. They died. That decision I made to just skip that run, it almost certainly saved my life.
Wow.
I've replayed it a million times. There's no logical explanation.
Yeah.
It was just this random, thoughtless bit of dumb luck that ended up being the most important decision I ever made.
That's incredibly powerful. And it just perfectly illustrates the fragility of, Well, of certainty. When you really look back at how things happen,
Yeah.
you realize we often have absolutely no clue where we're going. Events just compound in these crazy, unpredictable ways, like building these complex family trees of cause and effect that are almost impossible to untangle afterwards makes predicting the future incredibly hard.
Like historical examples.
Exactly. Think about the Battle of Long Island, 1776.
Yeah.
Washington's army was basically trapped, saved because the wind shifted, preventing the British fleet from sailing up the East River.
And historian David McCullough thought.
He believed no United States of America if that hadn't happened. A change in wind direction potentially changes history.
Wow. And the Lusitania sinking in 1915.
Another perfect example. The captain decided to shut down one boiler room to save coal, just a cost-saving measure.
But it delayed the ship.
By a whole day, which put it directly in the path of a German U-boat. Sunk. Brought the U.S. into World War I. If that boiler had been running, they likely would have missed the submarine entirely.
It's mind-boggling. Or FDR's assassination attempt in 33.
Right. Giuseppe Zangara misses FDR, hits the Chicago mayor instead. If he'd hit Roosevelt, John Nance Garner becomes president. Garner likely opposes the New Deal. The whole course of the U.S. economy in the 20th century changes.
Just small hinges swing big doors. It really feels like the world hangs by a thread sometimes.
It really does.
Which flows right into the next idea. Risk is what you don't see.
Okay.
We're actually pretty good at predicting the future in general, except for the massive surprises, the things that really matter. That's our blind spot.
Like the Great Depression, you had brilliant economists like Irving Fisher completely missing it. Hindsight makes it look obvious, but it wasn't then.
Right. Or even recently, The Economist magazine. In January 2020, their big forecast issue. No mention of a global pandemic. January 2022 forecast. Didn't see the Ukraine invasion coming as the defining event. The biggest risks are always the ones just off the radar.
It's uncanny.
Think about the New York City news on the morning of September 11th, 2001. Just minutes before the first plane hit, they were talking about what a beautiful day it was going to be.
Chilling. Risk is truly what they couldn't see.
So the takeaway isn't get better at predicting, it's prepare for risk.
Nassim Taleb's point, invest in preparedness, not in prediction.
Exactly. It means expecting that risk will show up, even if you don't know when or where or how, which is why maybe the right amount of savings should feel a little excessive.
Yeah, a little too much. Gives you that buffer for the unexpected.
And Harry Houdini, right, master of surviving these huge known risks he meticulously prepared for, but died from an unexpected punch to the stomach he wasn't braced for. What you don't see coming always is what gets you in the end.
Such a good reminder.
Okay, let's talk wild numbers. This idea that people often prefer certainty, even if it's wrong, over dealing with probabilities.
Right. The Zero Dark 30 scene. CIA director demanding yes or no on bin Laden.
Even though the analysts are saying, well, it's like 60% probability here, maybe 80% there.
He just wants the certainty. It's a very human thing. Our brains kind of struggle with big numbers and probabilities.
Yeah, like the lottery example.
Oh yeah, Evelyn Marie Adams winning the lottery twice. The odds for one specific person doing that, astronomical.
Right.
Like 1 in 17 trillion. Seems impossible. But the odds of someone, anyone, winning twice, given millions of people play every week, actually about 1 in 30. Much more likely than you'd think.
It's wild.
Freeman Dyson, the physicist, even calculated that statistically, based on sheer probability, miracles should happen to the average person about once a month.
So maybe the world isn't more broken now.
Exactly. We just see more of the bad stuff that's always been happening. Global news instantly beams every fraud, disaster, conflict right to us.
Our sources say the world basically breaks about once every 10 years, on average. Always has.
It's not a new phenomenon, just our awareness of it has changed.
Which leads us to a really key human tendency. Best story wins.
Ah, yes, the power of narrative.
The most compelling story wins. Not always the best idea, not the most rational one. The best story.
Like Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. Famously went off script.
Right. He ditched the prepared remarks.
And delivered one of history's most powerful, emotional stories. It wasn't about presenting new data, it was the narrative force.
Or Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens sold, what, 28 million copies?
Yeah, incredible numbers. And he himself admitted, I did zero new research. He just presented existing knowledge in a new, compelling way. Excellent writing, great storytelling.
So the takeaway is?
Think about Ken Burns' documentary, The Civil War. 40 million viewers. as many as the Super Bowl that year.
Wow.
Again, not new information, but presented incredibly compellingly. It's
Right.
why we all know the Titanic story, 1,500 lives lost, iconic narrative. But the SS Kyungya sank in 1948, nearly 4,000 lives lost, mostly forgotten. The story potential just wasn't the same. It's the narrative, not the numbers, that determines what sticks in our collective memory.
Stephen Hawking knew it too, right? About equations in his books.
Yeah, someone told me that each equation I included would have the sales. People want memorable stories, not complex formulas.
Okay, final point in this section. Sometimes the numbers just does not compute.
Meaning?
The world is often driven by forces you just can't measure. Emotions, feelings, mindsets, the squishy stuff.
Like Robert McNamara in Vietnam, his whole quantitative spreadsheet approach.
Yeah, the body count.
It completely failed to account for, as one report put it, the feelings of the Vietnamese people. Ho Chi Minh's supposed quote, "You will kill 10 of us, we will kill one of you, but it is you who will tire first." That's an unquantifiable human factor, defies the spreadsheet.
Jeff Bezos had a great line on this too.
What was it?
The thing I've noticed is when the anecdotes and the data disagree, the anecdotes are usually right. Meaning, there's probably something wrong with your data or how you're measuring it.
Huh. And Archibald Hill, the physiologist, studying athletes.
Found it wasn't just physical capacity. It was the brain's willingness to endure stress, to take risks. He called them moral factors, totally unmeasurable, but crucial.
This brings up that amazing quote from investor Jim Grant.
Remind me.
To suppose that the value of a common stock is determined purely by a corporation's earnings is to forget that people have burned witches, gone to war on a whim, risen to the defense of Joseph Stalin, and believed Orson Welles when he told them over the radio that the Martians had landed.
Wow, that says it all.
These unmeasurable forces are incredibly powerful. Lehman Brothers' collapsing faith just evaporated in 72 hours. Or GameStop surging on pure cultural obsession and memes.
Not quantifiable.
Not really. It shows how the need for certainty, as our sources put it, might be the greatest disease the mind faces. The real world is just this never-ending chain of, well, absurdity sometimes.
Okay, let's dive into some fascinating paradoxes now. First up, calm plants the seeds of crazy.
Right. This constant cycle, greed and fear. We assume good times last forever, ignore the bad signs, then panic when things turn, and vice versa.
Hyman Minsky's idea fits right in here, doesn't it? The financial instability hypothesis.
Exactly. His core idea was that stability itself is destabilizing. When things are calm and stable for a long time, people get optimistic.
They borrow more, take more risks.
Precisely. Which builds up leverage and fragility, ultimately leading to instability. The calm literally plants the seeds for the eventual crazy.
It makes sense. Like, if the stock market was guaranteed never to crash.
You'd borrow everything you could to buy stocks.
Right. But everyone doing that would push prices so high they'd become incredibly fragile, vulnerable to the tiniest bit of bad news. Boom! Crash.
The stability created the conditions for the instability. Or think about pandemics. A long period without one made the world complacent, more vulnerable when COVID-19 hit.
It's like Carl Jung's concept in antiodromia.
Yeah, basically that an excess of something tends to produce its opposite, like record rainfall in California leading to record wildfires later because all the new vegetation dries out.
Or Jerry Seinfeld quitting his show at its absolute peak.
He said the only way to really know you're at the top is to experience the decline afterwards. And he didn't want to do that. He saw the cycle.
So markets, and maybe life, inevitably overdose on optimism and pessimism.
Seems like it. They have to push the limits, test how much euphoria or despair investors can handle before snapping back. It's a continuous cycle.
Okay, next paradox or pitfall. Too much, too soon, too fast.
The danger of scaling good ideas too quickly.
A good idea on steroids can become a terrible one, fast. Warren Buffett's joke nails it.
The one about making a baby.
Yeah. You can't make a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Some things just take time.
And this applies so powerfully to investing, doesn't it? Stocks can deliver amazing returns over the long run, decades. But try to force those returns, demand them sooner. The market seeks punitive damages, as the source puts it. Trying to compress that natural long-term horizon is where most investing mistakes happen.
Like Starbucks in the 2000s. Rapid expansion, opening thousands of stores a year.
Yeah, Howard Schultz himself admitted it led to watering down the Starbucks experience. They lost their way chasing undisciplined growth, had to pull back, close stores.
It's interesting how nature shows us this too.
How so?
Well, fast-growing trees, they tend to have soft wood, rot quickly. Fish that are artificially grown super fast often die earlier. Slow-growing fish live longer.
Huh. So patience, maybe even a bit of scarcity, seems key for things that are truly grit and lasting.
But our instinct is always faster, bigger, more now.
Always fighting that impulse.
Okay, now for a more maybe hopeful paradox. When the magic happens,
Right. The idea that stress, weirdly, can be a catalyst.
it focuses attention in ways that comfortable times just don't.
Yeah.
The biggest innovations often seem to pop up during or right after really terrible events.
Like the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in 1911. Horrific tragedy, workers jumping to their deaths.
Yeah, awful.
But it became this huge catalyst for the workers' rights movement. Forced the country to confront dangerous conditions, led to massive reforms over the 20th century. The stress created change.
And militaries, too. They're engines of innovation.
Radar, atomic energy, the internet, GPS. So many technologies have military roots or funding.
Why?
Because they deal with, as the source says, really big problems that need to be solved right now. The incentives are literally existential, fail, and you cease to exist.
So what's the bigger point here? The Great Depression, one of America's darkest times, but also maybe its most productive and technologically progressive decade, driven by sheer necessity.
You saw huge road construction, rural electrification, the first supermarkets, massive gains in factory efficiency that then helped fuel the WWII effort.
Nassim Taleb captures this idea too, right?
Yeah, he talks about the excess energy released from overreaction to setbacks is what innovates. Hardship forces creativity and action.
It's that be careful what you wish for idea again. A life totally free of stress might sound nice.
But it might also mean a life without much motivation or progress. The grit isn't there.
Okay, final paradox in this part. Overnight tragedies and long-term miracles.
This is about the asymmetry of good news and bad news.
Explain that.
Good news usually takes time. It compounds slowly, gradually. Bad news often happens instantly. A sudden loss of confidence, a catastrophic mistake. Boom.
Like building a reputation takes 20 years.
And 5 minutes to destroy it. Yeah. Or think about Dwight Eisenhower having a heart attack. Huge, dramatic, overnight event. Shocked everyone.
Right. Instant bad news.
But compare that to the incredible good news of heart disease mortality declining, on average 1.5% per year for decades. That saved millions of lives. But it's gradual, almost invisible day to day. An invisible miracle.
That's a great comparison. U.S. real GDP per capita has gone up, what, 8-fold in the last century?
Amazing progress. But that 3% average annual growth, easy to ignore when you're living through it. Progress is often invisible in the short term.
But bad news. Pearl Harbor, 9/11, COVID hitting, Lehman Brothers collapsing.
Instant, in your face. Dominates headlines and attention.
It's the complex to make, simple to break idea.
Exactly. Creating a human. Unbelievable complex. Ending a life. Tragically simple sometimes. Building peace takes cooperation from everyone. Starting a war can take just one bad decision.
And those big bad events, the big risks like the Depression or that horrific Tenerife airport disaster.
Often just a chain reaction of smaller, individually more probable failures or coincidences compounding. Like Tenerife, about 11 minor things went wrong in sequence.
And boom, disaster. The world breaks about once a decade and we hear about it instantly now.
Precisely.
All right, let's move into our final section, looking through the lens of experience and time. First idea, casualties of perfection.
This is interesting. The argument that there's actually a huge advantage to being, well, a little imperfect.
Like evolution teaches us.
Exactly. There's no single perfect species. Evolution is full of trade-offs. Getting really good at one thing often means being less good at something else vital. Some inefficiency is good, as one biologist put it. It's about being adaptable, not perfectly optimized for one specific scenario.
It's about being good enough, maybe.
Yeah, finding that robust sweet spot, which connects to how we use our time. Did you know that doing nothing can actually be incredibly valuable?
How so?
Psychologists suggest the secret to doing good research is always to be a little underemployed. That sounds weird, right? But they say you waste years by not being able to waste hours.
You need slack time to think, to let ideas connect.
Exactly. Think of Mozart getting ideas while traveling or unable to sleep. Or Charlie Munger deliberately spending half his time just sitting on his ass and reading. Successful people often build in significant downtime for thinking.
And this applies to business too. like just-in-time manufacturing.
Perfect example. Hailed as super efficient, right? Minimal inventory, maximum optimization.
It
Until COVID hit and supply chains snapped. Suddenly, that lack of buffer, that efficiency, became a massive liability.
So that room for error, which looks like waste or inefficiency.
In the long run, it can actually have one of the highest payoffs. It provides resilience. But we often chase decimal point precision instead.
Better to be approximately right than precisely wrong.
That's the idea. Simplicity, being good enough with forecasts or plans, frees up valuable time and mental energy.
Okay, next insight. It's supposed to be hard.
The allure and the danger of shortcuts.
Like the Donner Party, trying to save just 3 or 4 days on their journey.
Ended up adding a month, leading to absolute tragedy, starvation, cannibalism. The shortcut was disastrous.
It reminds me of Jerry Seinfeld talking about comedy.
What did he say?
Just simply, it's supposed to be hard. The craft demands effort. The admiration we have for Michael Jordan or Serena Williams isn't just for their talent, it's for the unfathomable difficulty of what they achieved through relentless work.
So this raises a key point for all of us, doesn't it? Jeff Bezos noted that if you can actually enjoy half your work life, that's amazing.
Why only half?
Because everything worthwhile comes with overhead. The stress, the uncertainty, the hassles, the bureaucracy, it's just part of the deal. That's the price you have to pay.
So you need to accept the optimal amount of hassle.
Kind of, yeah. Like writer Stephen Pressfield observed, some people just couldn't function in the world because they couldn't take the bullshit. You can't avoid all of it.
Like a grocery store budgeting for some theft.
Exactly. It's an unavoidable cost of doing business or just living life and trying to achieve things. You accept some inefficiency, some difficulty as the price of progress. As the saying goes, where there's pain, there's profit.
Let's consider a tough evolutionary truth now. Keep running.
This is about competitive advantages. They almost always fade.
Cope's rule in evolution illustrates this, right? Animals tend to evolve bigger.
Yeah. Bigger often means stronger, more dominant in the short term. But extinction rates are much higher for larger species. Size makes gains bigger, but it also amplifies losses and makes adaptation harder.
So the T-Rex is gone.
But cockroaches and bacteria are still going strong. The huge and dominant often disappear, while the smaller, more adaptable, endure.
So what's the lesson for us? Think about Sears.
Retail giant in the 70s, seemed untouchable, huge competitive advantages.
But then?
A mix of things. Income inequality shifting their customer base, new competitors like Walmart and Target, internal hubris failing to adapt to catalog changes then online. It all chipped away. Now it's just a shadow.
No advantage lasts forever.
Pretty much. It's the Red Queen hypothesis from Alice in Wonderland. You have to keep running as fast as you can just to stay in the same place because the competition never stops.
Okay, let's look forward now. The wonders of the future.
How we perceive new technology.
Right. The typical path seems to be, never heard of it, then maybe it's a toy, then, interesting. And finally, I cannot imagine life without it.
It's so hard to see where small inventions will lead.
Thomas Edison saw this back in 1908. Asked if the age of invention was over, he basically said.
Passing. Why? It hasn't started yet. Greater, much greater. Along all lines. He knew the compounding effect.
Yeah.
And what we often miss is how easy it is to underestimate the future. We look at today's innovations and think, they're okay, but not like the breakthroughs of the past.
But we can't see the collisions coming.
Exactly. We can't foresee how multiple, seemingly separate innovations will combine and interact to create massive, world-changing things. Like ARPANET, that Cold War defense project from the 60s.
Became the internet.
Which then led to Google Maps, smartphones, social media, AI things unimaginable back then. The magic is in the compounding and the unexpected connections over time.
Speaking of perceptions, let's touch on harder than it looks and not as fun as it seems.
The grass is always greener effect.
As the source says, the grass is always greener on the side that's fertilized with bullshit.
That's blunt, but true. We all present these curated, window-dressed versions of ourselves and our lives because, well, everything is sales in a way.
And businesses definitely look better from the outside, right?
Oh yeah, as one source puts it, maybe cynically, but maybe accurately, all businesses are loosely functioning disasters behind the scenes. More chaos than you realize.
It's why Instagram is full of the beach photos, not the delayed flight photos.
Exactly.
And why we idolize business leaders without seeing their everyday struggles. Warren Buffett's difficult family life, the Gates divorce, Elon Musk reportedly breaking down over the stress at Tesla.
Right. Everyone's dealing with hidden problems they don't advertise. Knowing that, really internalizing it.
Makes you more forgiving.
Yeah, forgiving of yourself when things are tough and more understanding of others, too. Everyone's fighting a battle you probably know nothing about.
Okay, moving towards the end here. Now you get it.
The power of direct experience.
Nothing is more persuasive than something you've lived through yourself.
Hmm.
Harry Truman nailed it. The next generation never learns anything from the previous one until it's brought home with a hammer.
Ouch. But probably true. The Great Depression is the classic example. It didn't just change economic policy. It fundamentally changed how a generation of Americans viewed risk, security, the role of government.
Led to a landslide vote against Hoover, rapid embrace of Social Security, ideas that were fringe before the direct experience of hardship.
It really makes you think about how hard it is to truly understand how you'll react under pressure until you're actually in it. Risk, fear, desperation.
Yeah.
Varlam Shalamov, who survived the Soviet gulags, made this chilling observation. Under extreme stress, a man becomes a beast in 3 weeks. Our rational selves can vanish quickly.
Our views, our goals,
Right.
they can shift dramatically in a downturn, right? From focusing on growth to just survival preservation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, interestingly, even positive experiences like windfalls don't always deliver the expected feeling. Astronauts landing on the moon, some found it profoundly moving. Others described it as not momentous.
Where Jim Carrey saying getting rich and famous wasn't the answer he thought it would be.
The direct experience rarely matches the imagined one perfectly. You only really get it once you've lived it.
Okay, last big idea. Time horizons.
Ah, long-term thinking. Easy to preach. Hard to practice.
Oh, true. As one source puts it, the long run is just a collection of short runs you have to put up with.
You don't get to skip the recessions, the bear markets, the pandemics, the personal setbacks. You have to endure them to get to the long run.
And it's not just your belief in the long run that matters, is it?
No, your partners, your coworkers, your spouse. They often have to be signed up for that same bumpy ride. Their time horizon, their tolerance for the short-run pain deeply affects yours.
So what does this all boil down to? Patience is important, but sometimes.
Sometimes patience is just stubbornness in disguise. The world does change. Adapting is crucial. True long-term thinking isn't just rigidly sticking to a plan for decades.
It's more about flexibility
Yeah,
and knowing the few things that won't change.
exactly. Identifying those truly enduring principles in your field, in your life, while adapting to everything else. And valuing permanent information insights into why things happen, the underlying human behaviors, the cycles.
Over expiring information, like today's headlines or specific numbers.
Right, because that permanent information compounds. It helps you understand the next cycle, the next challenge, in a way that today's fleeting news never will. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. That was quite a journey through these timeless truths. We've tried to strip away the daily noise to reveal some of these enduring patterns in human behavior in the world's cycles. Hopefully it gives you, the listener, a valuable shortcut to feeling, genuinely informed.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how much clarity you can actually get about the future by looking backward, by looking broadly, focusing on the big things the past has consistently shown us rather than trying to predict every tiny shift.
Right.
We've seen how knowledge is really most valuable when you understand it, when you can apply it, and how critical thinking is just essential in this flood of information we all live in.
Absolutely. And there's always more to learn, right? Multiple perspectives just make our understanding richer.
Definitely.
So as you go about your week, we want to leave you with something to mull over. A question from our source material.
Okay.
Ask yourself this. What strong belief do I hold that's most likely to change?
Ooh, that's a good one. Thinking about that. Well, it can reveal a lot about how you handle uncertainty, how you adapt to new information. It really embodies this whole idea of figuring out what's truly same as ever and what might actually be open to change in your own life.